8 months ago, we sat at this table in a different venue, a different setting, a different studio.
Yeah.
And a very, very hot take was made. This was prior to the World Cup. This was when we were previewing the Premier League.
Yeah.
And we were talking about potential goal scorers and more specifically a major transfer that had happened, Erling Haaland achieving and reaching 30 goals in the Premier League, following what was your hot take at the time of Erling Haaland replacing the gap that Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus would leave at Man City, and saying that he would bag easily over 30 goals this season.
There's a 30-goal gap that is missing when you lose Gabriel Jesus and Raheem Sterling. But they immediately replace it with a 30-goal monster in Erling Haaland. There is no doubt in my mind, none, that he's going to get minimum 30 goals just in the Prem. He's that good, and he has the tools around him to make it an even easier job for him. When you have De Bruyne feeding you, you're never going to be hungry. You're never going to be hungry, bro.
It was met by criticism. It was met by instant reactions from people who did not agree with you. Fast forward 8 months now, and we see the prophecy finally fulfilled with Erling Haaland reaching 30 goals in the Prem and still having like 10 fucking games to go. How do you feel?
I feel amazing, bro. I really do. And the key word there, easily. I said it. I don't know if I use that exact word, but I made sure that Erling Haaland would easily get 30 goals 8 months ago when I made that take. But to me, it was so obvious, bro. He was already an absolute monster at Dortmund. What he lacked, though, was just consistent feeding from his midfielders and wingers. That's all he lacked. Everything else, he had it down to near perfection at already such a young age. The only thing that was going to be the question was Manchester City going to kind of adapt to his style of play? And from the first game in the Premier League, it was very clear that Pep Guardiola wanted to utilize Erling Haaland to the max. And that's why he's already at 30 goals with 8 games remaining? Maybe 9? I don't know. It's something like that. So he's definitely going to break the most recent record is 34? Alan Shearer, I think, has the most goals, but that was also done in a 42-game season.
Yes.
Erling Haaland is on the trajectory to break the Premier League goal-scoring record in a single season in a 38-game season. And what would be crazy, bro? It's going to be his first fucking season here. Nuts.
Yeah, with in all competitions right now, he has amassed 46 goals, dude. 46. So on top of the 30 he scored in the Prem, he scored 15 combined with the Champions League, domestic cups, and any other small little tournaments around there. So that's crazy. He's already broken the record for most goals in all competitions by a Premier League player after he scored the third goal in the Manchester City versus Bayern game this past Tuesday. So an insane run that he's on right now, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But because we're big on accountability, the Give and Go, we're big about talking about if you get a take right, if you get a take wrong, we want to let you know. We want to make sure that you receive the rewards of getting a good take, and you receive the punishment of doing a bad take. And you, of all people, know that.
Absolutely.
So what I would like to do here is talk to producer Rudd and see if we can do a screen share. I'd like to read the comments on that post where you said that Erling Haaland would reach 30 goals and see what people said at the time in response to your hot take.
That's crazy. This is crazy. I was not expecting this.
All right. You excited, bro? Here we go. Let's look at these comments. First and foremost, Dave Hughes says, one day these lads will get something right. One day.
That's funny, Dave.
I guess that day arrived, brother. I guess that day arrived. Hayden Jones, 172. He's getting max 20 goals. This isn't Bundesliga.
The thing is, that comment alone is why I show up to this podcast every week. Because people don't take context into account at all. If you don't play in the Prem, and for some reason, if you don't play in La Liga, I don't know why, because that league's on the decline right now, you pretty much get no respect.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something like Napoli, for example, and what they've been able to accomplish this season. If you're not a part of that little group, people just don't care.
Completely dismiss you.
They completely dismiss you. And they'll be like, they got good players, but we got to see them in the Prem. We got to see them with Barcelona, Real Madrid. But what people just don't do or just fail to do, dude, is they just don't analyze things as they are and take everything else into account. When you look at Haaland and what he was doing before Dortmund, he was scoring goals based off of his pure, brute physicality. That can be done in any league when you have the body like Erling Haaland.
Absolutely.
And so people just look at Haaland, Dortmund, Bundesliga, especially just at the time 8 months ago, and they're like, there's no way. But there's so much more analysis that can be done, and people just don't do it.
Yeah, I do think it's a big miss when you do it in regards to Haaland, but I do get the side of like, look at a guy like Jadon Sancho, who ran the Bundesliga, putting up double-digit numbers in assists and goals, but then comes over to the Prem and he's non-existent.
The problem with that is, again, if you take context into account, though, when Manchester United got him, he was struggling at Dortmund for the last 6 months. He had lost that spark that he initially had in his first 2 seasons at Dortmund, and they got a out-of-form Sancho. So I think if you take that into account, I don't think you should be as surprised as to why Sancho's just non-existent in Manchester United, like you said. Now, if they had gotten him at his peak at Dortmund and he immediately failed at Man U, then I think that could be, you could say something like that. You look at the whole picture, though, Sancho was out of form when Man U got him, so I think that can get even a little hairy.
David Gildy says, the guy speaking has no football knowledge. LOL. Let's look at those replies real quick.
I get that a lot, though. So.
Hey, go ahead and get involved on that one again. FTB Talent says, say that again for me 2 days ago in response. Nilab Sinha says, first times you guys didn't make sense. 30 Prem goals is not easy. It takes the likes of Prime Ronaldo and Salah to do it. Haaland might have 25 to 28 overall goals with 18 and 19 in the Premier League. Hey, honestly, props to this guy for leaving his comment up because I would have deleted this shit as soon as I posted it, man. That's looking rough now, man. That's looking rough. Okay. Just one of the most liked comments on the post. Enzo Noah 9. 30 minimum is a bit much for someone's first season in the Premier League.
True, but that's what makes Erling Haaland already in the talks of being one of the greatest strikers ever in Europe and in the Premier League, which is a crazy statement to make, but it's becoming reality.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this will be the last one I read. Shamanism says, this video is going to haunt you in the future. A lot of players from Dortmund are failures once they stepped into the Premier League.
Which is true. That actually is very true. What, Kagawa had a really bad stint at Manchester United. Sancho, you kind of just said, but I think Kagawa's actually in more form, a lot better form for me.
You can say Pulisic a little bit. Didn't end up producing the way that he was at Dortmund. You can say a little bit.
It's the same thing, though, with Pulisic. He started getting benched in the last 6 months at Dortmund. It's the same
but
thing.
At the end of the day, he's a Dortmund player coming to the Prem, and he falls into the category of, I wouldn't say failure, but disappointment. I would go disappointed with Pulisic.
I'm going to have to disagree there because he was a bench player at the end of his Dortmund stint. Why would Chelsea go for a player like that? Obviously, you can hope that he would end up growing into himself at Chelsea, and he kind of did. He was a huge part in that Champions League run in which they actually won it. So failure, I'm going to have to disagree.
Yeah. Failure, I don't go by. I'd go disappointed because even if you're Chelsea, you still buy a player with the hopes that they become even something bigger than what they are at the moment that you purchase them.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a club that big and you spend so much money on a player, that kind of has to be a playing factor of why a transfer happens. So the fact that he kind of has stayed at the same level he was at Dortmund, I consider that a disappointment because I kind of wished that when Chelsea acquired him, that he would become, he would ascend to an even higher level that I thought he was capable of. And maybe he will be in a better situation. Maybe Juventus.
Yeah. That is true. I also think it's tough, and the thing is, Pulisic might be doomed just for the rest of his career. He gets injured every season, and to truly grow, to become a star for any club, you can't get injured, bro. Yeah. All of the best football players barely get injured. Pulisic gets injured every season, and that's going to really stunt his career. But he's still a hell of a footballer.
A lot of Dortmund players get injured, bro.
Yeah.
A lot, man.
Yeah.
Marco Royce
is literally like Pulisic, but like way better.
Yeah.
He's the exact same story. Like if Royce just was always healthy, easily could have been like top 10 during his prime.
Gio Reyna.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Even Haaland when he was at Dortmund was out for like a month every year.
Right, which is why I'm kind of surprised he hasn't really gotten a big injury this season. And that was my only but on if he could get 30 goals was the injury situation. But he's had a full bill of health this season, so I'm really happy with that.